Whispers from the Unseen. Part 1. The Isolated Island. The storm had battered the rickety boat for hours, the merciless waves throwing it around like a child's toy. As the tempest raged on, the passengers clung to the hope that they'd survive the night. At last, after what felt like an eternity, the boat crashed onto the shore of an isolated island, a sinister place forgotten by time. Among the survivors were two strangers, a man and a woman. William, a rugged, dark-haired adventurer with piercing eyes, and Evelyn, an enigmatic woman with a haunting beauty. They were drawn together by the chaos of the shipwreck, and as they stumbled onto the cursed island, their fates intertwined. The island seemed to shroud itself in perpetual twilight. Dense, gnarled trees loomed overhead, and the air was filled with a musty scent, a mixture of damp earth and the distant, restless sea. With no other option, William and Evelyn began to explore, their footsteps disturbing the sinister silence. Part 2. The Isolation. Their first discovery was a dilapidated mansion, hidden deep within the overgrown forest. Its exterior was marked by the ravages of time, with shattered windows and ivy tendrils that coiled like serpents. A place to seek shelter, they thought, as they entered cautiously, shivering as a chill settled upon them. Inside, the mansion was a study in decay. Broken furniture littered the floors and faded paintings of somber figures watched from the walls. There was an air of abandonment, as if the place had been forsaken for centuries. But it wasn't entirely devoid of life. As they explored the hallways, their ears were haunted by faint, spectral whispers that slithered around them. "You hear that, right?" William asked, a tremor in his voice. Evelyn nodded, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and curiosity. "It's as if the very walls are talking to us," she replied, whispering secrets from the past. As they ventured further into the mansion, the whispers grew louder, more distinct. They spoke of lost love, betrayal, and madness. An insidious force seemed to emanate from the very walls, crawling into their minds, probing their darkest fears. Part 3. The Haunting. They discovered a grand, foreboding library filled with ancient volumes, their pages covered in cryptic symbols and forbidden knowledge. The room seemed to call out to them, promising answers to the island's mysteries. William, drawn to the books, pulled a dusty tome from the shelf, its pages filled with eerie illustrations. "It's written in a language I've never seen before," he said, puzzled. "And the drawings, they're disturbing." Evelyn, standing nearby, studied the illustrations, her eyes lingering on one in particular, depicting a hauntingly beautiful woman. "This island holds many secrets," she said. "We should be cautious about what we uncover." Their curiosity had bound them further together, and as the hours passed, their mutual fascination turned into something more. They spoke of their lives, their desires, their shared fear of the malevolent presence that hung heavy in the air. With a flicker of a smile, William leaned closer to Evelyn, his words laced with flirtation. "Perhaps," he whispered, "in the midst of all this fear, we can find solace in one another." Evelyn's lips curved into a half-smile, her voice a soft, seductive murmur. "Perhaps, but we must remain vigilant. We're not alone on this island." Part 4. The Haunted Lady. As the night descended upon the mansion, their newfound connection offered a fragile sense of comfort. In a dimly lit room, they huddled together, attempting to find solace in the presence of the other. But their rest was short-lived, for the spectral activity intensified. They heard footsteps echoing through the corridors, whispers growing louder and more sinister. Shadows danced on the walls, and an eerie, mournful song filled the air. It was the lament of a woman, a voice both haunting and seductive. Evelyn gasped, her eyes fixed on a shadowy figure at the far end of the room. A woman, ethereal and otherworldly, appeared before them, her eyes like twin orbs of darkness. "Who are you?" William demanded, his voice trembling. The spectral woman's voice was a siren's call, enchanting and dangerous. "I am Isabella," she replied. "Trapped on this island, cursed to roam in the twilight. I long for company, for warmth." Evelyn, her voice filled with sympathy, said, "Isabella, we're trapped here too, victims of the storm. What happened to you? Why are you here?" Isabella's eyes filled with sorrow. "I was betrayed by the one I loved," she whispered. He left me on this island to wither away, and I died alone. Now I am bound to this place, my spirit unable to find peace. Part 5. The Dark Pact. The bond between William and Evelyn deepened as they confronted the malevolent presence that plagued the island. They decided to help Isabella find the closure she so desperately sought, but doing so would come at a terrible cost. Isabella revealed to them the source of her torment, a cursed amulet hidden in the heart of the mansion. If they could find and destroy it, she would finally find peace. But Isabella warned them that the amulet held the power of the island itself, and its destruction would mean that they could never leave. As they embarked on their perilous mission to free Isabella's soul, they faced increasingly bizarre and sinister events. The whispers that had once seemed ethereal now grew menacing. The shadows that had danced on the walls now lunged at them, taking on grotesque forms. The malevolent presence of the island manifested itself in terrifying ways. In their darkest moments, as they stood before the amulet, a dawning decision loomed. Isabella gazed at them, her eyes filled with longing and regret. "Are you willing to sacrifice your own freedom to set me free?" As they exchanged glances, the realization that they might never leave the island began to sink in. Their lives would be forever bound to this cursed place. But as William looked into Evelyn's eyes, he saw a flicker of resolve. A shared understanding that the bond they'd forged was worth the sacrifice. With a solemn nod, they shattered the amulet, releasing a torrent of energy that washed over them, binding their fates to the island. As the malevolent presence receded, Isabella's spirit dissolved, and the mansion fell into an eerie silence. Part 6. Bound by Fate. William and Evelyn remained on the island, their connection growing deeper with each passing day. They had found something unique amidst the darkness, a love forged in the crucible of their shared experience. The malevolent presence had been quelled, but the island continued to whisper its secrets to them, reminding them of the sinister past that still clung to the place. They explored the island's mysteries, unraveled its secrets. And sometimes, in the dead of night, they heard Isabella's voice in the wind, a soft, melancholic whisper. They were bound by fate, trapped on the island where the past and present intertwined in a never-ending dance of horror and desire. In the isolation of their sinister sanctuary, they would face the ghosts of their own pasts. And together, they would confront the darkness that clung to the island, knowing that it was a place where love and horror could coexist, inextricably intertwined.